Hey gang, this episode of WTF is sponsored by Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com and type in WTF when you click the radio microphone to start a no-risk trial and get a $110 bonus offer. That's Stamps.com. Enter WTF. Do it up.
Lock the gate!
Are we doing this? Really? Wait for it. Are we doing this? Wait for it. Ow!
What the fuck?
WTF.
And it's also, what the fuck?
What's wrong with me? It's time for WTF.
What the fuck?
With Marc Maron.
Okay, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers? What the fuck buddies? What the fucking ears? What the fuckinistas? What the fucktarians? What the fuck you pie Wall Streeters? What the fuck Amalans? All right. This is Marc Maron. This is WTF. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. A couple of things before I get going. Neptune Theater, Seattle, November 25th, right? Yeah, day after Thanksgiving. Black Friday. Come see me on Black Friday. Tickets are still available for that, so do that. Also, if you don't have my CD, please do that, would you? It's called This Has to Be Funny. You can get it on iTunes. I don't know if you know that. I am overwhelmed and anxious and full of panic. Surprise! I know a lot of you think like, hey, things are going well. Yeah, they are. Things are going all right, but that just means I have more things to do, and that means more things that aren't going to get done, and more things that I can worry about getting done. That's just the way I roll. Hold on. Maybe I shouldn't be drinking 2 pots of this a day. Pow! Look out. I just did it. Maybe I'll switch it to that. JustCoffee.coop, available at WTFpod.com. Do that, if you will. I don't know how the hell people get things done. I know that once you start to do them, everything's okay. I'm working on my book. I'm writing my book. I'm doing that every day. I just got that Dragon software for my computer where I can talk to my computer and it writes things down. Man, that is one step away from being too close to your computer. I think it's only a matter of time before we can share our problems with them, maybe talk to them about what's going on, because it's certainly getting sort of difficult to talk to some people in the world. I am so fucking sick of people that preach positivity. It's making me nauseous. Adam Scott is on the show today. He's a very nice guy. I believe a thoughtful guy. We'll talk to him in just a minute. But all you people that you think you're positive, hey man, Maron's too negative. That guy's too negative. Yeah? Well, let me tell you something. Negativity and positivity are almost exactly the same in most cases. They're coping mechanisms. Neither one imply that you're a better person or a more decent person. The positive people, the people that actually preach this idea of positivity. Hey man, I'm positive. I'm not negative. They're doing the exact same thing. Positivity implies intolerance 90% of the time. That means you're just like, hey, get the fuck out of my space, man. You're negative. Positivity. Look, I know negativity can be draining. I know negativity can be bottomless, and there's not a lot you can do. And I know that positivity can be bullying and intolerant and arrogant in its way, because you think you're a better person, because I'm just doing everything I can to be positive, which means excluding negativity from my life. Where's the empathy there? Where's the caring? There's no caring. You're not putting better things out into the world. You're just coping in a different way and being a little bit more easy to be around. But you're no better. It doesn't make you a decent person to be positive. It's just a different type of denial. To actually get to the core of the humility of who you are, man, that's a whole different thing. I don't know why I'm worked up about it. Because probably somebody said that I was too negative. You think that could be it? I don't think I'm negative. I don't think, sometimes I'm positive, but I just try to be as present as possible and help people when I can. And sometimes I get a little stressed out. It was weird. I was at this coffee shop the other day, and I don't have I'm not equipped to do a service industry job. If that happens, if I have to do that, if I have to become a barista again or attempt waitering, my hat's off to you if you can do that and keep your shit together. Only because I remember, I go to a coffee shop and sometimes it takes a really long time to get my coffee, and I get aggravated. And this is a mundane problem. But then recently, this is this process that I do in order to find empathy in myself as I try to go back in the history of me to put myself in a similar situation as the person I'm getting aggravated with, so I can at least understand, where they're at. And I can do that. I have to train myself to do it. I have to do it on purpose. I'm a little, sometimes I'm a bit empathy deficient. I can feel people. I get a sense of what's going on, but I don't always put myself in their shoes. So I actively try to do that. And I'm watching this guy make coffee. And then I remember when I was making coffee, when I never wanted to make coffee. Nobody wants to do that for a living. You do it to get by. You do it because you need a job. And when I was in the service industry of any kind, when I was a barista back in the pre-Starbucks universe, the coffee connection, I mean, from the second I got to work and made my first coffee, the first customer would come in and I'd make him his coffee, and I'd see another guy walk in for a coffee. And before he even got to the counter, I'm thinking, oh, fuck, are you serious? Are you fucking serious? Another guy? What's he going to want? That's the beginning of the day. And then another guy comes in. Oh, this is fucking bullshit. When is this going to stop? How many people are going to come in and require coffee at this coffee shop? Jesus Christ. That's not positive, but that was my attitude. Positivity, man. Hey, just be positive. Just focus. Just put out good energy in the world. Positive energy. Be a leader of men. Be a leader of women. Be a leader. Be positive. Be a team leader. Years and years of positivity. And still that guy, that Penn State guy, submerged and repressed and pushed down inside of him all that horrible, violent sexual hate. And then it just came out in horrible little incidents of rape. He was a team leader. He helped people be proactive, be positive. Anyway, positive or negative, all I'm trying to do is stay open to the experience of the life I'm living. That's all I can do, is try to keep an open heart and an open mind, knowing good and well that as we move through life, people are going to shit in my head, life is going to shit in my head, and people are going to hurt my heart. But what are the choices? You just going to shut down and say, fuck that? Are you just going to shut down and say, just be positive, man? Positive. Either way, you're closing it off. How about be humble and open your fucking heart? Where's my mind today? Wow. Full of anxiety. Full of it. But, pretty soon I'm going to fix the door. I'm going to fix my kitchen. I'm going to call the guy that fixes the wood, and I'm going to make it all work out. That's what I keep going in my head. Nothing is stopping. Everything keeps coming at me. I'm incapable of compartmentalizing. Everything is coming at the same intensity. It's very hard for me to prioritize, but I hang on to a hope. I hang on to the hope that if I just call that dude who does that thing, he's going to fix it all and my life is going to be better. The dude with the tools is going to make it all right. Stamps.com. That's right. You know it. That was our sponsor at the beginning of the show. This is now the middle of the show. And look, folks, the holidays are almost here. All of them. The last place you want to be is online at a post office. And if you have to drive there, you got traffic, you got parking, the pain in the butt, the hassle, the lines will be crazy with everyone mailing stuff. Oh man, just thinking about that makes me anxious, aggravated, angry. All those people with boxes and holiday cards and gifts. You can avoid all that. Just use Stamps.com instead. You can buy and print official U.S. postage using your own computer and printer. Stamps.com is convenient. It's easy to use. I do it, and I'm a moron. Everything you would do at the post office, I can do or you can do right from your desk, right from your office, right from your garage, wherever it is that you are, or you might be. Print postage for any letter or package the instant you need it. Then your mail carrier just picks it up. You don't ever have to go to the post office again, certainly not over the holidays. All right, maybe your mail guy will be like, really, all these boxes? Yeah, but they're all stamped already. Yep. I use Stamps.com, and it's good. It's working for me. Now, for a limited time, get this special offer. When you use my promo code WTF, you get a no-risk trial plus a $110 bonus offer. It includes a digital scale that calculates the exact postage for you, and you get $55 free postage. Don't wait, folks. Go to Stamps.com, and before you do anything else, click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage and type in WTF. That's Stamps.com. Enter WTF. God, it just makes me want to mail stuff now. You can pull that mic into your face.
Okay.
It's a radio mic, so it needs to go close. You've done voiceovers, haven't you?
Not really, but I've done like podcasts and stuff.
Do you audition for voiceovers?
I went through a period where I was auditioning for voiceovers, and it reminded me too much of when I was starting out and the humiliation of auditioning. So I just stopped. I was like, if somebody wants me to do a voiceover sometime in the future, then I'll do that. But I'm not gonna go and slate my name and all. It just made me feel terrible again.
Again, you thought you'd pass that part. So it would brought you back. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
but when did
awful.
you start doing that acting thing?
The fall of '93.
All right, so it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So that is a horrible thing. And there's almost something when you do a voiceover, because I've done voiceover auditions here, and I do my voice all the time. But when you're auditioning for something, then I become very insecure about the fact that I have a mush mouth, that I lisp, and then
you can hear yourself.
Yeah.
And the copy is about a Prius or some bullshit, and they keep telling you to like brighten it up or smile, and it's just like I'm gonna disappoint you. This is gonna be fucking terrible, and I'm not gonna get this, and it's just gonna. So I just stopped. It was too much.
Do you say that? Is there taped evidence of you saying, maybe we shouldn't do this?
Oh, I wish I was that cool. I was like, thank you very much, and just like kissing their ass, and awful.
Well, I remember that thing. I don't audition much, but I have, and I can't. It's taken me a while just to realize that if they don't want me, it ain't going to happen.
Right.
But so how old were you when you started acting? I mean, if in '93, you must have been, what, 20?
I was 20. Yeah.
And you came out of where?
I grew up in Santa Cruz.
Who grows up there? That's like weird hippies and vampires.
Yeah.
Wait, did you have hippie vampire parents?
Well, the cool, they were hippies, but they were hippie-ish, but they were raising kids, so they didn't have time to commit to being hippies, but they certainly cultivated, health food. I mean, if you're in Santa Cruz, you're just hippie-ish, especially in the 70s and the 80s.
Well, there's sort of like a mystical thing. By the way, Adam Scott is in the garage. See, sometimes I forget to do an intro.
That's all right. That's good.
From Party Down, from Parks and Rec, from Funny Movies. I can't list all your credits. Can you?
No. I don't want to.
So you were in, oh really? Do you have some embarrassing ones? Are there ones that you're like, I can't? No.
Oh yeah, there's some awful.
What's
I mean, I started in '93, so there's bound to be some shitty. I mean, it's been a while.
What's your greatest shitty memory of doing something that you now wish was not evidence of what you did?
I had some little part in something where I had to pretend like I was jacking off onto a girl who had passed out at a frat party, and go through like all this dirty talk to her, and then come on her.
Yeah.
And it was so awful.
But it was one of your first jobs, so you're like,
no,
gotta do it?
It was like, it wasn't, but I still needed a job, and I needed to make a good impression. I never said no to anything until I still, feel like I should do everything that is asked of me.
But that's hilarious, because there's there's this idea that when there's something that happens very quickly when you get into to show business, where you're like, oh, I'm an actor. And then when you're jerking off on a passed out girl and trying to play coming in one scene, you're like, well, maybe it's not acting exactly.
Maybe it's just I don't know what this is.
It's paid humiliation.
Yeah, it's making me feel terrible, and there's no way it's making her feel good. It's making everyone uncomfortable. Oh, it was terrible.
Well, what's kind of funny about a Party Down is that is what that guy comes from.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But let's get back, before we get to that, I mean, Santa Cruz I'm sort of fascinated with because I used to do gigs down there. There was a bar called the Crow's Nest.
Oh, yeah, man.
You remember that place?
Oh, totally. It's still there.
Right. So your family's still there?
Yeah,
so you
they're
go
all
there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they used to have a comedy night there, man.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, and when I was starting out, when I moved to San Francisco in 92,
Sure.
you'd go there.
Sure.
And I always felt like even when I'd stay the night in Santa Cruz, you'd walk around. I know there's a big school there, but there's something weird and kind of creepy hippie about it, isn't there?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, they kind of found a little of that in Lost Boys.
That's what put it in my head. But so
that's why
true.
you said the vampire thing, right?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe it is, but I always get the sense that that there was sort of a kind of progressive hippie Wiccan, bordering on strange shit kind of witchcraft thing down there.
Well, a lot of that is the school and the students.
Is it one of those really? It's kind of a progressive college. It is, but it's the University of California, right?
It is. I mean, it's an expensive school, so
right.
all the kids that go there that are hippies they also have like their parents' credit card.
Sure.
So, there's a lot of
that's how all new hippies start.
Sure. I certainly went through that. I was really into the Grateful Dead.
Were you?
Oh, totally. I still love the Grateful Dead.
Well, I'm happy to hear that because here's a beanie right here.
Oh, nice.
I'm not a heavy Deadheady guy.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was a little more than me, but I had roommates in college, and I like that whole thing. But
oh yeah.
So were you like a little jigging, long-haired?
Yeah.
Played a little hacky.
Oh, totally. I was terrible at hacky sack, but I tried, and I certainly went to Dead shows. And
did you like
so
a lot?
Fun.
Did you follow them?
It's weird. I was thinking the other day because when I was 14, I was really into the Grateful Dead, and my mom let me and my other buddy, who was also 14, take the Greyhound up to the Oakland Coliseum to see the Grateful Dead.
Yeah,
and then go to a friend of his parents in San Francisco to spend the night at her place. Take the Greyhound back the next day.
Yeah.
Now, this was 1987, so it was a different time. But can you imagine a more trusting mom than letting? I mean, I would freak out if I would never let my kid do that. But
how old
it was
your
a
kids
different.
Now?
3 and 5.
I was talking about this to a friend of mine recently, that when I was a kid, we used to take the city bus up to the mall at like 13.
Yeah.
Like they would just let. It's sort of sad. That
you just can't do it anymore.
I guess. I mean, the odds are probably still in your favor that something horrible won't happen.
It's either you can't do it anymore, or we've been led to believe that that's just something that's just impossible. You just can't do it anymore.
I mean, 14. I mean, I was driving at 15 in New Mexico.
I guess 14's not that big of a deal.
But I mean, still, you have kids, and I don't have kids, and I'm with a woman that wants to have kids, and I'm getting old, and I can't handle just the thought of having a child. Yeah, I'm worrying now for a child I don't have, and probably won't have. I'm worried about him.
Yeah, I went to my daughter's ballet class today, and I was watching her, and all I could think about was her getting hurt.
Oh.
And she was doing the most beautiful thing you could ever imagine. The cutest, most beautiful, incredible thing. And all I could think about was, I went through a whole fantasy scenario of tearing some guy apart who hits her in the face. Like,
what?
Yeah.
Let's play that out exactly. So this is Adam Scott watching his daughter to ballet class, and you're like, well, look, she's really doing a great job, and it's so vulnerable because they're young, and they're excited, and they're doing the best they can, and it's very touching.
Yeah.
And what happens in your head?
Well, last week, another little girl had pushed her face down into a gymnastics mat, and she got a scratch on her face. So I guess it's kind of fresh that I feel like protective of her.
Yeah.
But I just had this fantasy of like a grown man shoving her aside or slapping her across the face or something.
Oh my God.
And so I went through this whole like thing where I just beat the shit out of him. And it was a visceral, like I started sweating and getting...
While the recital was going on?
Yeah, while I was watching her
dance.
Yeah.
You're sitting there beating the shit out of a guy you made up who just pushed your daughter out of the way.
A fictional person. Not like, it was entirely... It was just...
Did something lead up to it, or you just appeared out of nowhere for no reason and pushed your daughter down?
Yeah, it was at the gymnastics place, so it had a setting. I don't know.
Well, that's very. I mean, I have. You know, I used to have more of that where, you know, you get those weird revenge fantasies.
Yeah.
You just sort of like, you know, you feel like somehow or another you're being victimized, and then you kind of play this thing out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It usually happens in my mind with bullies or people that, you know, are more successful than me.
Right.
I picture their downfall. I've gotten much better with it.
Right.
You know, I've actually been able to accept people's success without thinking, you know, hoping that, like, you know, oh, he might have a heart attack tomorrow.
Sure.
It's all lost. But it was sort of spontaneous. Did you feel, I guess it's probably because you felt powerless. What happened with this? So it was just some girl her age that pushed you down?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even there when it happened. I just heard about it. Is
Now,
that a nicotine lozenge?
Yeah.
I
You need one?
I have them in my pocket.
You do?
Yeah.
How long you been on them?
A year.
I've been on, I haven't smoked in like 10 years.
Well, that's great.
What kind do you smoke?
I smoked.
I've never met anyone else who does them.
These?
Yeah.
I know it is weirdly rare, isn't it?
It is. I mean, people do the gum, but the lozenges, they seem like sort of an abstract.
They're way better than the gum, right?
Yeah, I think they're better than the gum, and I fucking love them.
Me too.
Like to get up in the morning and have coffee and a lozenge.
Oh, a coffee with the lozenge is incredible. Yeah! It really is.
It's so good.
But wait, do you fall asleep with them in your mouth?
Sometimes.
Do you have fucked up dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's sort of sad. Like the moment when I'm not doing that as much as anymore because I got very self-conscious about my gum line because I decided that the gum and the lozenges were fucking my gums up.
Really?
You know, that's a new thing you can get paranoid about.
Is that true though?
Well, you know, if you Google things, you know, apparently, I mean, I have bad gums anyways because my bite's off. This is a long story, but I got paranoid about it. Maybe you can get paranoid.
Why
about
would
it
you
too.
get bad gums from your bite being off?
Because your teeth meet in different places, so where there's like tension, wherever your teeth are working more, it's all about even and whatever.
And so your gums are receding?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you have that?
Well, that just happens when you get older.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you already research it?
Yeah, because I saw a picture of myself and I was like, holy fuck, I look like Don Knotts because my gums are, and then I kind of researched it and was like, well, first of all, you need to floss because that helps your gums.
Yeah.
But secondly, it just happens when you get older.
All right. Yeah, because I mean, okay. All right. Well, I'm okay about it. But, falling asleep with nicotine lozenges.
Yeah.
How long did you smoke for?
I smoked for solid like 10, 11 years and then quit and then started again and then quit. And now I'm just like on these. And then if I'm at a party, someone's smoking, I'll just go ask for one and have one. You know?
I can't imagine having one.
Yeah.
It's
So
been
you
a
haven't
while.
smoked in 10 years?
Not really. I mean, I'll smoke cigars occasionally, but I've inhaled maybe a cigarette twice in the last probably 11 years.
Because I remember when I first started listening to your show, I think Dane Cook was the first one I listened to, and you were on there talking about
Getting off these.
Oh, that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
Because I've considered going to this hypnotist to get off of the lozenges.
Do you want to, though?
Well, my wife is convinced that they're bad for me, and they're harmless. See, the tobacco things, those can give you mouth cancer. These are harmless.
I think so. I mean, they're not burning your lungs, but I imagine that nicotine in and of itself and the processing of nicotine in the organ area has got to be bad somehow.
I guess, but there's no health warning on the package.
Yeah, but you do this. That's the same thing I do. It's like I've just
You justify it. But
right because it's in a package,
Right.
Yeah, and it's made by a company.
They sell it at the store.
How can it be bad for me?
Right.
Your brain is in that denial mode. I mean, how many fucking products are shitty for you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I don't want to let go of the nicotine. I know that apparently my brain and my body can function without it, but I don't.
Yeah.
It's so fucking fun.
It is. It's nice. Do you ever double? Do you throw
Sure,
two
man.
in?
Sure.
Are you on 4 or 2?
4, always 4.
Oh, you're on 4? I'm on 2.
Why?
Because I don't want to go to 4, man. Because then there's no backing down.
But you're doubling up on 2s.
Well, I throw 2 in at like the last night. I fell asleep with 2 in my mouth and woke up at like 3 in the morning because they don't dissolve unless you work them.
Yeah, I know that.
So if you fall asleep,
Yeah.
they're still fully formed
yeah.
at 4 in the morning when you wake up.
Yeah.
So I woke up this morning. And
Do you tell your wife though? I mean, does she know you got a mouthful of nicotine?
She
left?
knows, and she just thinks I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Especially when I wake up from a nightmare induced by.
Take out 2 lozenges.
Ugh. I have like gross, like half dissolved ones on my nightstand.
Save them. Yeah.
Ugh,
Shit,
it's
yeah.
so gross.
I picked one up off the floor.
And ate it?
A half dissolved one, and I'm like, oh, that's still good. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Absolutely.
It's not like it's
Absolutely.
cocaine or something.
Well, it's
but
more powerful than cocaine, actually. It's more addictive, isn't it?
Well, I think it's more addictive, yeah, and it's certainly. But I'm starting to think like, I don't know, man. Were you ever another drug thing? Did you ever?
No.
You're not compulsive in any other way?
No, I mean, smoking and coffee were
Right.
really my things. But, I was a big stoner for a while, but
When you were in high school?
high school and then like my 20s. But now every once in a while, but, I
got
have to
kids.
wake up early, so you know, it sucks.
you got a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, these things, like, I'm starting to think, like, it's anxiety related. I think. Do you? I mean, like,
with these?
well, I think I'm self-medicating a certain amount of, like, because these are really steady and consistent. They're almost a little more defined than cigarettes. Like, I know, like, if I smoke 3 cigarettes, you're dealing with the smoke and the smoke's coming out of your face and, you know, you feel, but this, like, it's not dirty.
Yeah.
You know, there's no smell or anything, and you just put it in your mouth and then you just kind of wait, like, you can really feel it.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's your own thing. People don't have to know that you're doing it. So it's your own private little dose you're getting.
That's what everybody thinks when they do any drug by themselves at first. No one knows.
No one knows.
Yeah, I'm on high on fucking crystal meth just because I'm talking about, drawing a maze. But, all right, so there you are, the Grateful Dead show. Yeah. Yeah, and did you trip?
You know, I was never a big. I would just smoke lots of pot. I did do mushrooms. I would do mushrooms right after I was out of high school. I kind of did mushrooms. I remember doing mushrooms at the Grateful Dead show in Las Vegas, when Sting opened. And if you take enough mushrooms, I learned Sting is awesome, but you have to take a bunch of mushrooms.
You have to take a lot of mushrooms just to get over his horrendous personality and that transcendent arrogance that he has.
I do remember his guitar had a Grateful Dead sticker on it, and I was like, come on.
You fucking...
Yeah, that's not...
Don't pretend.
The Police were amazing, though.
So I somehow or another, you've been kind of like, rotating around the community of, like, cool comedy people. When did that start?
About 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
I mean, back in early '94, I used to go to Uncabaret every Sunday night.
Beth Lapidus?
Yeah.
And that thing?
And I would go and watch because a friend of mine was Karen Kilgariff's roommate, so I kind of heard about it. Do you know Karen?
Sure. Yeah, I had her on the live show.
Maleva Barbabula, do you remember her?
I do know. I remember Maleva. How do I remember her? What is she now?
I think she moved to Sacramento like in '97 or something.
She got out?
She got out. She was really cool, and we were really close friends for a while, and so she told me. So I'd go and watch every Sunday night, and I remember just thinking, like, that looks like it feels great.
Yeah. To be on stage doing that?
Yeah, and no defined... Because it wasn't always stand-up, it was like
stories
and Odenkirk and David Cross doing like pre-Mr. Show bits.
Yeah, well, Lapidus, I think really, I don't know if she gets enough credit, for sort of being at the forefront of alternative comedy, but that the Uncabaret was really the first one that embraced comedic actors and comedians to do other things. Yeah,
it was extraordinary. And then I remember they also did some shows. It wasn't Uncabaret, some over at the corner of La Brea and Hollywood. Remember that place? Like
La Brea in Hollywood.
There was some room like back in like an old bank.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I can't quite remember. It sounds like it. Do you remember who was there? Who was on?
I remember seeing Kathy Griffin one night, Andy Dick. Anyway, I would go to Uncabaret and watch everybody, and I even came up with some bits in my mind, but I was never even close to going through whatever channel I would need to go do a bit on. I would never.
You were never close to asking Beth Lapidus.
No. Good Lord! I mean, I was like wanting to be Ethan Hawke or whatever I was doing at the time. I was just starting out trying to get a guest spot on whatever TV
Was that
shows.
the thing for you? Was that like you wanted to be a leading man?
I thought I was. Yeah, I wanted to be like, because I went to acting school
Where
after
at?
Santa Cruz, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. It was in Pasadena, and so I went there for 2 years, and then moved here in '93 to,
Hollywood.
Yeah, to try and act and stuff.
But were you kind of being moved in that direction? I mean, you're a good-looking guy, and you did some TV stuff, and
I mean, it wasn't until 4 years ago when, just by a fluke, I got the part in Step Brothers that I even kind of entered that world at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the beginning of it? You weren't friends with those guys?
I've been buddies with Paul Rudd for years and years, and so through him and Shauna Robertson, who was producing Knocked Up, I got like this little part as a nurse in that movie.
I remember that.
But just figuring I would it was just a couple days. It was just another one of these little tiny jobs. I didn't really think of it as being a bridge to anything else, because I still thought I was like a serious actor, and that's what because I was on this serious TV show, and I didn't think it would.
Which TV show?
Tell Me You Love Me, the HBO show.
Oh, yeah.
It's like about marriage and
sex.
that's
right.
Yeah.
Oh, you were like, you were in that horrible marriage.
Yes. Yeah, we were trying to have a baby, me and Sonia Walger.
That was I remember watching some of your episodes. That was like painful.
Yes.
I mean, that was a deep part. You did a good job with that.
Oh, thanks, man.
Because didn't the marriage come apart?
Yeah. And yeah, it did. We did. We split up at the end of the season, and then she got pregnant, I believe, and then the season ended. But that was the path that's what I thought I was, like, I got that show, and I was like, okay, this is my thing. But then, I got the part in Step Brothers just like as a fluke, and it was super fun. I mean, it was a really tough thing to do. Like, I wasn't great at it while I was doing it, but I also felt like by the end of it, I felt like I was starting to get the hang of it.
Step Brothers?
Yeah, by the end of the shoot, I felt like I started to get the hang of improvising a bit, and it was started to really feel fun. And I when it ended, I felt like, I don't know if I want to go back to the other way of
trying to do that.
Yeah, like, even because it was improvising, so we were like coming up with stuff and having fun. But whether it's improvising or not, just the idea of there's no wrong answer. You're just throw everything against the wall and see like, why? Because it's just tape or film or whatever you're using. Like, try everything, and if it sucks, you just don't put it in the movie.
Well, this is interesting, because I was talking to somebody else about this. I talked to Rainn Wilson about this, that, coming from what you come from, that, to do a part like you did in Tell Me You Love Me, that you're drawing from emotions that, I mean, if you are able to, as an actor, to access that stuff and to get deep and to get heavy and to get dark and hold those moments.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody can do that, but I mean, it's probably, on some level, as a trained actor, easier to do that than to do comedy.
Yeah.
and it seems to me that because, like, and Rudd's another good example, though, he's sort of figured out, what is funny about him. Yeah. Somehow, but he's sort of a straight, good-looking guy, and straight, good-looking guys, or straight playing. I'm not judging anyone's sexuality, but guys who play a straight man, or can play straight acting roles, or are attractive people. They're almost it's almost a liability in doing comedy, right? And it seems to me that a lot outside of Step Brothers, the sort of comedic groove that you've gotten into is, either kind of a guy who's a little. Maybe a little bit of an asshole, but not like a mean asshole, but an asshole because he has to be, or someone who's sort of beaten, but it's you do play a straight man a bit, but you also have a comedic voice.
Oh, thanks.
In terms of how you handle things, and I can't really get at what you do to do that.
Yeah, I think it was the first day we were shooting Party Down. Yeah, which, by the way, we didn't know what that was going to be. It was just we were just all friends, and Stars, the network Stars, are the ones that, like, gave us the money and we're going to air it. So we didn't know if anyone was ever going to see it, or if it was even going to end up being any good, because we were just starting this thing, so it was a group project. Was it all hand-picked? I mean, Paul Rudd co-wrote the first episode, or all of it? The first episode, he and some other friends of mine, Rob Thomas and Dan Etheridge and John Enbaum. So you were part of the beginning of it? Well, no, they wrote it, and then we made a pilot in Rob Thomas's backyard, like a year and a half before we made the show. We just made like a homemade thing. You shot a party scene? Yeah, we did what's essentially the first episode of the show now. We did kind of a bootleg, like a lo-fi version of that at his house. With that cast? Lizzie Kaplan wasn't in it. Andrea Savage played her part, and then couldn't do the series because she was pregnant when it got picked up. And then there were a couple other castings, but Jane Lynch and Ken Marino and I were all in it. And Martin? Martin Starr was in it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, he wasn't actually.
Not in the original pilot.
So anyway, I remember the first day we were shooting the show, and we weren't all totally sure what we were doing yet. I remember the director, Fred Savage, was directing it. I was shooting the scene, and he was like, and I think I was really playing it like, because I was used to just playing little parts where you try and get everything in to your 1 or 2 scenes you have. And so I was really kind of leaning into it and playing it nasty, or just trying to pick one thing and trying to play it. Yeah, no, it wasn't even that. It was just I don't know what it was. It was just what I had been doing for the 15 years up to that point. And I remember him just kind of saying like, look, you have a lot of time to do stuff in this show, so why don't you just relax and just enjoy talking to this girl, and we'll worry about all that other stuff later.
So you were just loaded up.
Yeah, so it was a good lesson that if you're going to be like kind of the straight man or the guy at the center of something, to just sort of relax and let yourself into it, and let yourself, not that you're playing yourself or whatever, but just kind of react to stuff as you would, and just kind of relax.
Right. Anyway, make a couple of choices around the character, and then just let it breathe a little bit.
Yeah, it was a good lesson in just trying to just sort of let go and let stuff happen. And
I think you're talking about the energy that because I think when you get used to acting and you go out for these auditions, even when you have a name for yourself, that when you go into an audition, the intensity you bring to it to be memorable is so fucking amped.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that there was probably the same energy around shooting your own pilot, thinking that every one of these minutes
counted.
Right.
Yeah.
And he had the foresight to say, let's just treat it like, this is going to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't be so precious about it. Which was another nice lesson with working with McKay and Will Ferrell and those guys, was just fuck it. Let's just fuck around. let's just screw around, and if it's funny, great. If it's not, then let's just keep going and find something else funny. And
was it hard in Step Brothers, because you're a dick?
Yeah.
And that's you don't seem like a dick.
Right.
And it was a pretty broad character.
Yeah.
And you tell me that it took you a lot to get there? Or?
No, it didn't take a lot to get there, because they had written this awesome part. It was just really hard, because I had never really done improvisation at all? That level. Padding a line here and there in movies or TV shows or whatever, but we shoot 2 scripted takes, and then you just fuck around all day.
Really?
Yeah, and I was in scenes with those 2 guys, with John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell, and we're just making stuff up.
Yeah.
It was I was terrible. I was terrible. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
At all. After my first scene I shot, which was kind of a big scene, this is scene in a treehouse in the movie. It was a Friday, and then we finished, and over that weekend, I freaked out, and I was convinced I was, because we had only shot 2 days, so they could easily replace, it was no big deal. They could get rid of it.
But it also must be intimidating for you. This is fuck, Riley won an Oscar, didn't he?
He was nominated a couple times.
Yeah, and then you got Farrell, who I can't even look at without laughing.
I know.
So how much of that baggage did you bring into the scene? Were you
all of that baggage? Every single piece of baggage.
You were sitting there going, I can't fucking...
No, I had written things on a piece of paper to remind myself of bits I had come up with, and then I would read the paper and then try and do it, and I would fuck up. And it was embarrassing. I was really bad.
Uptight.
But they're really cool and supportive, and they're great.
They stood behind you, though. They let you stay in.
Yeah, they did not fire me.
What finally made you relax? Did Will do something, or did they do something?
It was just being there for a while, and I remember by the end, John Riley and I were improvising about a boogie board or something, and it was really flowing more, and I was like, all right, I kind of feel better about this. And then the movie ended, but it was a very I equate it to learning how to learning the shot put at the Olympics.
Right.
In the Olympic stadium, everyone watching.
Here's the ball.
Yeah.
Here's the lead ball.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was terrifying, but it was it changed the way I kind of look at my work and the way I want to do things, and it was, I mean, they're I think you had McKay on the show.
Sure.
I mean, they're great guys, and they were
It was
very nice.
It was
to
like a
me.
baptism into performing modern comedy.
It kind of was, I guess so, yeah.
And they chose you, and they stuck by you.
Yeah, it was very nice of them to choose me in the first place, but to not get rid of me was very nice.
Now in retrospect here, like, what do your folks do? I mean, was this the life they planned for you?
No, they're teachers. They're both teachers.
Like public school teachers, or
My mom was a public school teacher. She's retired now. High school teacher. At the high school I went to, actually. And my dad was a biology professor at the junior college in Santa Cruz. And he's retired as well.
So wait, so your mom was a teacher at your school?
Yeah, she was a special ed teacher.
Oh, so you can't take many shots for that.
Right.
Like if
Right.
if your mom was the horrible bitch of a teacher of math or English, but the special, no one's going to be like,
Right.
no good stories there.
No, I was not in any of her classes, although I probably should have been.
And what was your, like, in high school? What was your? Were you an athletic guy or what?
No, I mean, I did like school plays and stuff, but I was
you're an actor?
Yeah, but I was embarrassed about the social strata of it, so I kind of
What does
wouldn't
that
hang
mean?
out with them.
It was a little too musical oriented, or
They were called drama mags at our school, and
what is it? Mags,
I don't know where that came from, but that's what they were called.
Yeah.
Drama mags.
and that was not a good thing.
no, not for me. I wanted to get girls. And,
Yeah.
So I hung out with the popular kids, but also would dabble in the theater
Stoners,
department.
the theater, yeah. Well, like when you do something like Party Down.
Yeah.
Now, was there a sense, because this is one of these shows that, not unlike Freaks and Geeks, is sort of celebrated. It's got a cult following. I've watched a few episodes, and it's very funny and very specific, and it didn't get to live.
Right.
And it upset a lot of people because it was a very sort of it was a comedy nerd's dream a bit,
Yeah.
Especially the Freaks and Geeks crew and the
Right.
State crew, and it was sort of a hybrid of what's going on in comedy now.
Yeah.
What was the reaction? Like, it sounds to me that from the beginning you guys thought, like, well, it's, how is this even going to live? It's, how's anyone going to see this?
Yeah, I mean,
Why'd they choose Stars?
well, because Stars were the only ones that were interested.
And that was really at the time where they'd switched head executives and right? And
No, they switched head executives right before we got canceled. It's the new guy that canceled us, actually.
really, the guy
Yeah.
from HBO?
Yeah,
What's
Chris
his name?
Albrecht.
Yeah. Well, that's odd.
Well,
I know that they do that, but that seemed like there's no way not to see that was an inspired bit of comedy.
we thought it was weird, too, just because he comes from comedy.
Yeah, he built HBO.
Yeah, and he was a stand-up at one point. But our numbers were super low. Like, our series finale got 16,000 viewers.
And what's their big hit there, though?
Well, we thought our numbers are low because we're on Stars, and then Spartacus debuted, and they got 1 million viewers. So we were like, well, I guess it's not, because I guess it's us. And then we got canceled.
I don't fucking understand that, because Stars it's sort of like TBS. I mean, Conan O'Brien's doing a great show over there, but I don't know where the fuck Stars is. Do you?
No. But they were cool because the whole time we made the show, they didn't dabble at all with our show. They didn't tell us to do anything.
It sounds like they were in turmoil in terms of changing things. So they were like, just let the kids play, and we'll see what they come up with.
Yeah, I think also they just hadn't made a lot of shows, and so they just kind of trusted us to do. I mean, every once in a while they would ask us to have more boobs on the show or something. Which
Really?
is like,
That was a note?
yeah,
More boobs.
more boobs. And we were like, okay, so he wrote John wrote an episode about being us catering a porn awards after party.
Good,
So
good
got a bunch
idea.
of boobs.
That's pretty inspired. That's
know.
a good thought. Now, was there like a lot of disappointment when he got canceled? I mean, was there some sort of rallying cry to try to get it somewhere else? Or?
Yeah, it kind of like petered out more than. I mean, when it got canceled, it got canceled. But up until then, like I got Parks and Rec and Party Down looked like it was going to get canceled.
Right.
So I tried to see if they were really going to cancel it, because if they weren't going to, I wasn't sure about if I was going to do Parks and it was like a whole messy thing. And then they just wouldn't answer the question. So I was like, all right, they're canceling it. And so
And at that time, were you jaded enough just to realize that that's just part of what we do?
yeah,
That's horrible, isn't it?
yeah,
Now, how did was Paul Rudd an active producer all the way through, or
yeah, he was.
was he pretty disappointed? Was there anyone
Yeah,
upset?
I mean,
or?
we were all really upset. It was really, really sad. But we also got to do 20 of them, which is more than we ever thought we were going to
That
be
is
able to
pretty
do.
good. At
We got
least
to do 2 seasons.
Right.
And now it's become way more popular since it got canceled. So we're going to probably do a movie.
Is that true?
Yeah, like a low budget little thing.
But with the same cast. And,
Yeah, with everybody and just kind of wrap up the story.
And who's going to produce that?
There's a company that is interested in it, and they said they want to do it. It's just a matter of getting stars to completely sign off on it, and I think they're going to. They've been pretty cool about it.
The original cast.
Yeah.
Well, who would be hard to get? Lynch? And,
Oh yeah, I don't know if
Kaplan?
Jane, I don't know if Jane will do it. I mean, we'll certainly invite her, but I'm not sure. But definitely the season 2 cast, which is all of us and Megan Mullally.
Yeah, she's funny, huh?
Yeah, hilarious.
Now, okay, so now moving into Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
So now, do you feel like you've established yourself as this type? Do you think you're going to be the sort of straight kind of, either, well, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a word that describes the character in Parks and Rec. You know, that you've got
Like
a
a-
heartless job, but you've got some heart.
Right.
that it?
Right. I don't know.
How did that contract pan out? What episode? What season are they in?
Well, we just started season 4, but
So you're-
season 1 was only 6 episodes, so it's kind of like not a real. So it's season 4 technically.
You were in
but
every episode?
of season. I started at the end of season 2,
Okay, right.
so like the last 2 of season 2, and then I was in all of season.
So you're a
3.
full cast member. You're
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. And when you do, what is your position exactly? You're
Now I'm assistant city manager,
yeah.
which I don't even really know what that means.
And now, do you feel how much of that stuff is improvised over there?
A little bit. I mean, we do like, a few takes of, just pure 100% scripted, and then we screw around a little bit, and then we do like a take that's all like whatever you want to do. But they write great scripts over there. Like it's an amazing group of writers, like Chelsea Peretti and
Yeah.
Harris Whittles and
Yeah.
Dan Gore. I mean, they're all awesome, and so we just do.
You believe in the script.
Yeah, so we don't really need to improvise, but it's nice. I think it's just a nice thing to do. I think it just makes everybody really engaged and.
Do they use some of the improvised stuff?
Yeah,
And in Step Brothers, how much of the improvised stuff was used?
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, they had a full script, and a lot of that is in there, but there's a lot of bits that are improvised.
And watching it, do you feel a little more proud of yourself?
I do. I mean, they very generously cut me together in that, because I am telling you, for a good portion of that shoot, I was a disaster. So they were very, they cut me together.
Was there
nicely.
a lot of nights of yelling at yourself in front of your wife, like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Yeah. And
Yeah?
driving home, just like, what am I doing? Like, you think of all the fun things you could have said in the drive home, and again, it was my first time really doing something like this.
Did Adam have to talk you off the ledge a lot, or?
No, I didn't
Kept it
really
to yourself?
show. Yeah, I kept it to myself, but I was just kind of in a constant state of embarrassment.
Oh my God, because that character is so not that, right?
Yeah, it was never really said this much about it, but it was kind of a weird thing. But I have to say, by the end, I felt a lot better about myself.
Good.
But still, I was like, oh boy, I don't know.
So now tell me about this idea that you're finding, like, because you are definitely in the upper echelon of the film comedy community now. So you're losing your drive to perhaps do weighty, more disturbing roles.
Not necessarily. I mean, it's weird though, because like, there's a whole community that I've a whole comedy community that's really lovely. You know? Like I met Paul Scheer doing Piranha 3D.
What was the angle on that? Like, I know it was...
What was the angle on it?
Well, I mean, the angle was we're going to redo this movie in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
But it didn't pan out that way, or
it did. I mean, I think it. Did you see it?
I didn't.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is tongue in cheek, and a lot of it is really gory and scary and gross. And I think it's a really weird, cool movie, but it was a hard one to explain to the public. Like, what is this?
Why are they doing this again?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't old enough for it to be camp in a pop culture way.
Right.
Like it was, it wasn't a good bad movie necessarily. Right. So it was sort of like a little too soon.
It's like, why are they doing this?
That again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was someone's big idea. Who was that big idea? Was that?
I think it was Dimension, the Weinstein Company's like horror wing. And the movie itself.
Are you wanted for
really
something?
Because
I think that airplane's been circling for about 10 minutes.
they're
Did you steal a car?
They're really curious about how I felt on Step Brothers. Everything I was doing. But anyway, I met Paul Scheer there, and it's just kind of this great. Like if I'm on my way home from Parks and Rec and somebody's doing something at UCB or like the Doug Benson's podcast or something, you stop there and jump on stage for a quick thing and then get in the car and go home. Like, it's really fun. Like, it's really great. And it's everybody, it's a really terrific community of people.
Yeah.
It's not like in dramatic acting, you have a community of dramatic actors who there's none of that
you
stuff.
Can't stop by and do a little Shakespeare,
right? Or Stanley Kowalski or whatever.
Well, there's a couple cats that are like that are actors, because I don't talk to a ton of actors.
Yeah.
Most of the people I talk to are sketch dudes or comedians or this or that. But I had like John Hamm's another one that seems to love hanging out at comedy places. Are you friends with him?
Yeah, we've been friends for a really long time, and used to go to comedy
to
nights
Largo
all the time. Yeah, totally. And so once we've both obviously him obviously way more than me have kind of got our shot. It's great to be able to kind of embrace that and sort of try and jump. And I mean, I'm certainly not at the level of any of these people, let alone the people on the show that I'm on. But it certainly is fun to, jump in there sometimes and just kind of feel like I'm a little bit a part of this.
You are part of it. What is it with this weird low level of confidence around being a comedic performer? You seem to dismiss yourself an awful lot.
Well, it's not false modesty.
No, I know. I don't feel that.
Yeah.
I feel like you're genuinely insecure.
Okay. It's I still feel like it's kind of a new thing for me, and I'm kind of enjoying my work really in a way that I'm enjoying my work kind of for the first time. Like for the first time, I feel like I'm doing something that I really feel like I finally know why why I came down here.
Sure.
Like I realized the other day I've been down here longer than I was in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
So I'm here, and I finally feel like I'm doing something.
Yeah. Like you found a niche.
Yeah.
You're kind of like you're like the go-to straight guy.
Well, I guess. I mean, just being a part of something is.
But to
work, nice.
To be like the guy that a sort of anchor to clowns, is an important job.
I guess so.
And I'm not trying to diminish anything you're doing.
No. Believe me, it's.
But people forget that in a comedy where you're like even in Party Down and even on Parks and Rec that you have. You have a comedic, persona on that show,
right?
But you're surrounded by very broad, comedic actors,
right?
Or characters more so. I'm not saying that anyone's a better actor or what, but some of those characters are huge,
right?
And yours is fairly grounded. I mean, you're the guy going, "Come on, can we just please?"
Right.
And that's an important. You're the anchor.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, in Party Down too, you were this sort of weird sage of bitterness,
right? That
had a certain amount of retrospect. You were the only one that had any success and made a very profound decision to stop,
right?
Which is everyone's biggest fear in this business.
Yeah, that was a challenge about... First of all, I think the cool thing about Parks and Rec is that Amy's character and Nick Offerman's character are both... They pull off the hat trick of being... wildly kind of comedic and everything,
Yeah.
but they're both anchors as well, which
Of course,
is really,
right.
really interesting and really difficult.
Right.
That
Well,
they make look incredibly easy, but they're both really grounded. I think, all the characters on the show
yeah,
have
definitely.
a really grounded side, but you see Amy and Nick really holding it down while doing insane things. It's a really...
I guess what I mean is you're
amazing to
a
watch.
good foil because, you
Sure.
get to be like, no, can we not really?
Right. Guys, let's do some paperwork over here.
Yeah. And that just is like sort of like a fuel for broad comedy characters.
Yeah.
So what happens now? I mean, like when you it's interesting to me, this whole, like the pressure of not coming from comedy and then, being in these, big comedy movies. I mean, how crazy do you drive your wife with the insecurity?
It's kind of calmed down. I mean, there's a thing that happens, and I'm sure it's the same with stand-ups as well. I'm not sure, but you can tell me if it is,
Yeah.
where it takes so long, or it took me so long to get any traction whatsoever. But along the way from, 1993 on, I kind of deluded myself into thinking it was just the opposite and that I was actually exactly where I wanted to be.
Well, you have to think that. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a powerful thing because you really do believe it, or I really did believe it, and it isn't until you kind of get to a spot where something is actually happening that you look back and think like, wow, not only did I trick myself into thinking I was actually doing well when I was actually quite destitute and had no career whatsoever, but all the people around me went along with it. All the people that love me.
This whole business is fueled by... Oh, you mean like your parents and
my parents and my wife and my friends all protected me from the truth of the matter.
Which is what do you think that was?
The truth?
Yeah.
Was that I was nowhere and I could easily stop and no one would care and it might be a good idea.
So they believed in you.
I guess that's what that is.
And you see yourself as just delusional as opposed to maybe just believing in yourself.
Oh man, I don't know.
I'm sorry, buddy.
No. Maybe that's true, though.
No, you have to. I mean, I've talked about that before. There is a large amount of delusion that is necessary to pursue a career in this.
Yeah.
Whether it's acting or comedy.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
because on paper and in everyone else's minds, most people's, they're like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And even when you do make it, I've talked to people whose parents are sort of like, you sure you don't want to get a job that has a little more security?
Right.
I mean, you could be on a
God.
TV show for a year.
Oh.
And like, it's still, they're just worried.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that you found some success fairly early on, whether you liked it or not, it's enough to keep moving forward because a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess success is a relative thing because I guess, if I got a guest spot on Boy Meets World in the eyes of my family in Santa Cruz, that was success. But
Absolutely.
down here, it was like, okay, but what
Yeah,
else?
what happens
then,
now?
then I don't work for 6 months and I'm just like sitting in a dark apartment,
Yeah, well, you're sort of in a unique position that you're a good actor, and it doesn't happen that often that people find you seem to be part of what you're doing up there. You have a thing, you have an Adam Scott thing,
Right.
and I think it took comedy to sort of reveal that.
I guess so.
Because
I guess so.
in that HBO thing, I mean, you were great in that, and I remember you
Right.
because it was a painful fucking bit of business.
Yeah.
So you definitely had chops.
Yeah.
But this other groove is good.
It wasn't that much fun.
to play a guy whose marriage is falling apart because they can't have a baby.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like fun, but it wasn't. It wasn't that much. I mean, it was fun working with my friend Sonia, and we became friends. But the show was, it was kind of, it was depressing. But I think
that's
it's
interesting.
good. I think it's good that it's there. I'm proud of it. But in a sense, I am glad it went away because the day Step Brothers came out, that show got canceled on the same day, and then like 2 months later, Party Down came along, and I just kind of like went off in this direction. And at the time I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. But I'm so happy that it happened that way, because I found something that actually means a tremendous amount to me, to myself, you know.
And you got fun friends now.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of interesting to me that, like, because like as an actor, I would think that to pull off something that has such a sort of heavy emotional dimension would be like, you know, I did it. But I don't ever really think about the fact that you got to live in that.
Right.
And that, you know, that's the set you're going on to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess it was that. I guess it was.
It had an effect on you personally or emotionally, where you're like, man.
Yeah.
You got to live with that guy.
Well, yeah. And, I mean, it was just, yeah, all the material was so heavy. It was all like, you know, we had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Like I had to think about like, oh man, I gotta cry about a miscarriage today. I'm driving to work. It's just fucking Jesus. And we had like a fake dick that I had to like strap on and.
Really?
Yeah.
Because why?
In the pilot, she gives me a hand job and then it squirts hair conditioner out into the and the big thing was we're going to show the whole hand job in the show, and so I had to like put this ridiculous
prosthetic on.
Yeah, and there was a
how did I miss this episode? You had a squirter in the back.
Yeah, a guy behind the couch with a pump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally.
And what was the point of that? That was just a hand job, or were you trying to get? Was it for a semen donation, or was it? It was no. It's interesting. It's an interesting show, and it's a good show, and it's interesting because she does it. She jerks me off, and then she takes the cum, and puts it in her fingers, and like starts examining it, and like it's all sticky, and because she's like, why can't I get a fucking baby? And she's just like staring at the cum in her fingers. Yeah. And there's a guy behind you at a pump trying not to laugh.
Oh yeah, I mean it was difficult not to. I think we laughed quite a few times because it was just ridiculous. But
that was the scene. It was heavy.
It was heavy duty. So that's about as fun as it got.
It's so funny because, like, you know, for you to explain that situation in another context, it's fucking hilarious.
Right.
But in the context that it was actually the illusion that was being built was quite painful.
It was incredibly dark. Yeah.
But if you had done that with Will Ferrell
jacking me off,
it would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
So I've never really talked to anybody about the fact that, you know, the comedy community is a good time, and that when, you know, because it's so small here and that there are all these guys that are sort of interwoven in all these different projects, that I never really looked at it that way, that you can go do your show after a day of shooting, and if you want to stop by and jump on Doug's show and talk about movies for a few minutes, he'd be more than happy to have you.
That's great.
Come by here.
That's great.
It's a fucking good time.
And then I think about, like, growing up, as a little kid, I was into Steve Martin and Monty Python and stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't into, I mean, I got into like Scorsese and stuff as like a teenager, but the stuff that really like had the profound effect on me was all the comedy in the early, mid, and late 80s. You know, that's what I was into. So,
I'm so glad we got lozenges going.
I
love looking
I saw
at
you pop
over there.
another one.
Yeah, just going. I'm going.
Is that original flavor?
Yeah.
I don't know about that flavor.
What do you eat, the cherry one?
No, mint.
Oh, maybe.
I have those like in my car, but I prefer the mint.
You know what? I usually buy the mint. You know, I don't. I got this box. I usually get them at Costco. You go to Costco?
No.
They're like really cheap there.
Oh,
and
really?
They come in like, you can get the tubes, like 8 containers in one bag for like $120.
Oh.
I think
that's a good
Is that a good deal?
Because it's usually
$3.50 for 3.
Yeah. Which is a fucking ripoff, man.
No, you got to go to Costco.
How many do you eat a day?
I don't know. I don't want to get into it.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
I would say I eat, 1 an hour.
Yeah, no, I'm in it. There's definitely, you need to go to Costco, dude.
Okay.
It costs $50 a year to join it, but I literally only belong to Costco for nicotine lozenges and Mexican Coke for my girlfriend.
Oh, Mexican Coke is good.
Yeah, they have that there now.
I like Mexican Diet Coke.
You do?
Yeah, because they don't.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
they use
yeah.
pure cane fake sweetener.
They don't use.
They use old school saccharin. What?
They use the stuff that gives you cancer.
Sure. Yeah.
They use they don't use NutraSweet. They use some other weird fruit based product, and it tastes way better.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was Mexican Diet Coke.
It's called Coke Light.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's better.
Well, I mean,
all right,
whatever. It's better than the other shitty thing.
I think. Okay, one more question about we're both admitted caffeine and horrendous nicotine addicts. I eat about that many too. I eat a lot, and I need to go to Costco because I bought these when they come like this. I didn't even know they were going to come like this.
Yeah, I got duped into buying one of those a package that when
they're a little more practical because you can travel with them better.
Yeah.
Because when you have the tube, you end up with like 5 or 6 loose ones in your pocket.
Yeah, and then they fall out and onto the couch, and then my kids are like, "Daddy, what's this?"
Yeah, candy. Oh, I'm sick.
Yeah.
Can't have that happen.
No.
So what are you learning, in working with McKay and working, on the set of Parks and Rec and also on Party Down as an actor? I mean, what have you learned about the distinction between comedic acting and acting? I mean, I know it's easy to say we just play everything straight or whatever, but are there any tools that you use as an actor now where you're being funny, or are you not aware of that, or what?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that
do you play it differently?
I try not to.
Yeah.
I remember I had an audition once for Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. You probably know it.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was a humiliating thing because it was supposed to be a really funny audition. It's the one, how they always tape you at auditions, and it's the one tape that I hope never gets out there because it was so embarrassing. Where I was like trying to be funny, and I started like I wore like funny clothes and started making like it was terrible. I don't know when this was, probably like 1999 or something. I was just so desperate for a job, and I wanted this movie so bad. And I remember trying to be super funny, and there was there's nothing funny about it. It was just tragic.
Yeah.
Whatever it was I did.
Yeah.
Like making weird voices and stuff. It was awful. So I don't know. I guess my approach is pretty much the same. I mean, people always say that, and it's somewhat true, but it has to be a little different if you're trying to like hit a joke. Well,
one thing I noticed, in watching you on Party Down, is that it seems to me that when the character is full enough, like, I mean, that was a real character. I mean, you obviously connected with that thing, and you knew where that guy was coming from.
Right.
That it seemed like a lot of the comedy that you were able to generate was actually through not talking, through having a reaction to somebody saying something ridiculous, or there were moments where you seem to be very aware when someone you're talking to is doing something broadly, letting something sit for a second.
Right.
Are you aware of that?
No. Not really.
Because I mean, a lot of what you do, there's a stilted kind of comedy timing you have just by reacting.
Okay.
And you don't really know that. I don't want to see. Now I'm going to make you self-conscious about your gums and your performance.
No, I guess I am aware. I'm probably, I'm also relieved that it's not me. Like, in Party Down, Martin Starr, Ken Marino, or anyone on that show, or on Parks, like, all those people are so funny. And when I'm in scenes with them, a lot of times I'm just glad it's not me having to do the heavy lifting, because I don't think I would do it as well. And I'm serious that, when I'm watching Amy or Aziz or any of those people do this stuff, I think I have the easy job.
But I mean, maybe that's what you're bringing to the role, is that you're sitting here thinking like, I'm just going to let him do that. Like you have a moment where you're like, that was really funny. I should give it a beat.
Right. I'll let people laugh and then I'll continue on.
Maybe that's what's happening on an unconscious level.
Maybe that's what I'm doing.
There's a mixture between like, oh, it's so fucking funny, I'm glad I don't have to be funny, and back to it.
Here I go.
Well, we'll leave it at that, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you came over. It was great talking to you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Do you grind your own coffee at home?
No.
Oh.
Why? You have beans?
Yeah.
I can grind I have the ability to grind coffee.
Yeah, I have my beans, and I'll give you a
Is
coffee.
it just coffee?
Yeah.
.coop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take some of those.
Thanks, Adam Scott.
Thank you.
That was nice. That was a good talk. That was Adam Scott. Talented guy, funny guy, surprisingly funny guy in the sense that he was surprised by being funny. That he's this is the route. This is where he's ended up. I love that when people start on one path and then they're all of a sudden had this secret gift, the secret gift of humor. All right, go to WTFpod.com for all your WTF pod needs. Kick in a few shekels. Pick up some JustCoffee.coop. A lot of new merch. Got the big tote bags with the swag pack, CDs, buttons, new posters coming. Please, if you're in Seattle, please come to the Seattle show at the Neptune Theater. That's November 25th. Tickets still available. I'll be bringing stuff there, too, if you want to do your Christmas shopping. The CD is available. This has to be funny. That's the name of it. Very proud of that CD. Pick it up on iTunes, or you can get it on the site as well. Look, sometimes I'm in a weird head. This is one of those times. I really appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you later. It'll be all right. It's going to be all right. I swear.